Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or over on our various social media channels, including, of course, the El Paso History Radio Show on Facebook, other various Facebook pages, partner pages, including Remember in El Paso, and also YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under some combination of El Paso History TV, El Paso History Radio, or Andrew J. Polk, which is, of course, me. Then we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things today, starting off with the first part of this program today with the upcoming El Paso Train Show. We do, of course, have a history moment at the start of Hour 2 from documentary filmmaker Jackson Polk as well. This week, talking about the Star on the Mountain history moment. And this is, of course, a place where we say Texas history begins in El Paso. So thank you for tuning in, however you're doing on those ways, particularly on the social media. You can leave your comments, chime in, let us know where you're tuning in from throughout the program there. So joining us here in studio right now to talk about in this first part of our program, we are joined by Patricia Kiddney and Woody Bear with the, El Paso Train Show itself here. Thank you all very much for joining us today.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Great. It's a great day to be in El Paso.
Absolutely. Almost always is. And so talking about what we got coming up for you, again, this is not, last time we had you on, Patricia, this was a kind of as the event was unfolding. This one is happening next weekend. So anyone hearing this right now, don't worry, you have not missed it in this case, because the El Paso Train Show is happening March 18th. So that'll be Saturday, and it's a full day event, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., right?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. So, a train show may bring up a lot of ideas, and we've talked about this on the program, some of the previous instances when y'all have done this in the past, but for anyone that may not be familiar with the concept or not quite sure what it is we're talking about, what is the train show, and what are y'all going to be doing during it?
The train show features a locomotive that's in El Paso. It's locomotive 3420, retired Southern Pacific locomotive. It was given to the public in 1956. And that's kind of the theme of the train show. We have a box car and also a caboose. People can actually climb on them, tour them, see them, and get the history and how they operate. And then we have some other activities along the way, too. Some model trains, history. We do, photos, pictures, lectures, and things like that.
Oh, certainly. And so we've had some pictures that we've been popping up for those over on the social media of the locomotive we were talking about, 3420. This is one from, I think you said this picture is back from the 80s, you think it is?
1984, yes.
So, that's an example of even older than I am history. And then this particular one, I want to focus on that for a second. This is, you can very clearly see the 3420 on the side of it, Southern Pacific. But if you look pretty closely, without the distinctive bell tower cut off in this picture, it might be not immediately noticeable, but you look at that building just quick enough, and you can see that's the Union Depot right there with the train right in front of it. And so just given some of the age of both the apparent picture and of what we're talking about here, giving you kind of a sense of just how long this has been around.
That was first placed in 1956, and it was moved in 1980 for the 4 Centuries 81 celebration. So it was restored to running condition for that celebration.
Okay.
And the last time it ran was about 1986.
Wow. So what are you going to be doing during the show here? Again, going on 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 850 Hawkins. That's south of I-10, and it's at the Freeport-McMoran Copper Refinery. And, sure, the facility is an important part, but that's essentially where it has been parked, and a lot of the stuff y'all have been doing, a partnership essentially to do this show with them for a while now, right?
Yes, they're a great steward of our locomotive and other train equipment that we have. It's safe and secure, and they open up for us whenever we need to do an event. It's great.
So, mention that this is going from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's a lot of time to walk around a train. But, of course, you all have a lot of other stuff going on, including, Patricia, you're working a lot with the exhibitors going to be coming out there, including some, let's call it more exciting exhibitions or kind of demonstrations that'll be going on.
Well, we have all sorts of exhibitors there. We have a fellow who has an interest in historic depots of Texas.
Okay.
So, inside. And so we have groups that are coming in, the Archaeological Society, bringing in one. We have the author of Gringo's Curve, Chris Habermeyer, and we'll have the book publishers of El Paso. We have the Harvey girls. We will have a nice demonstration. You'll get to talk to a real Harvey girl. And, of course, we have Operation lifesavers. And we have a new exhibitor this year. It's Harmony School, and they're bringing out STEM things for the kids to have interactive activity with them. And of course, outside we have the hobo history, and I do that. It's a scavenger hunt.
Oh, okay.
And also, we'll have my steer roping head again. So if you want to be a cowboy or a cowgirl, you get to come on out. And we encourage people to come out and learn about all of these things. We'll have a model train exhibit, and we're looking for exhibitors, by the way.
Oh, okay, so people just hearing about this, they could still have a chance to be more involved.
Right, and if they'd like to showcase their pet project or event, just to contact us with that web page.
Yeah, absolutely. So the webpage to find out information on this, some of the previous instances that have been held, a lot of pictures y'all have, more than we're even going to be able to show today. But SP3424 Southern Pacific 3420.org. That is the website to go to. So SP3420.org. And so we've got some of the information that you have up there, including on when and the details on the events going on here. So check that out for some of the details. But again, this happening Saturday, March 18 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And again, 850 Hawkins, that's south of I-10 at the Freeport-McMoran Copper Refinery. And I would just have to be remiss if I didn't at least mention the idea that you're going to be having, as part of all the exhibitions and, stuff going on out there, that there's going to be a mock train robbery, right?
Absolutely. I was saving that for the best for the last. Six Guns and Shady Ladies will once again reenact the first deadly train robbery. And this occurred in 1887. And we're going to be doing two shows. We're going to be performing at 12 o'clock noon and then at 3:30.
Okay, so as again, through the duration of the event, a lot more going on there. So we'll be talking even further about some of the features going on with this, but I mean, even just some of the history that we're talking about what exactly is a part of it. I mean, there's so much, many of the topics and features that we talk about for the rest of history, whether it's to be, the history of colonization or the settlement of this region or even mining it, pick a subject, there's often the before and after arrival of the trains.
Yes, it is.
As kind of a serious watershed moment and a change in the trajectory of what we're talking about the El Paso, Paso del Norte, southwest border region, what we know now today, being completely transformed by that. And so that's kind of, in a nutshell, part of what you'll be delving into, right?
Yes, it is. The entire history, this is called Paso del Norte for a reason, and the railroads took advantage of that.
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of the, even remember conversations I was reading about leading up to the Civil War about where the major intercontinental railroad route would end up going. And El Paso was considered one of them, or what we now consider El Paso, because of the fact that it was the only constant snow-free pass, essentially through the Rocky Mountains, as we are at the southern tip, is often claimed here.
Right, and it's a much lower route. They didn't have to climb or tunnel through mountains.
Absolutely. Sure, we're damn near a mile high in a whole lot of ways here, and yet the grade is a whole lot more significant. Anyone driving out, I want to say, particularly like 54, and you keep kind of going out that way till like the what we would it could be called the Jornada del Muerto area. I mean, the railroad is often right next to the road for a lot of it, but then diverges a bit because it seeks the gentler grade than what cars can do. Because you think about it, and the way trains work here is that they are steel on steel. They are trying to move as much as efficiently as possible. I mean, the predecessor to this in terms of huge cargo movement was, of course, sail ships, which are just trying to push themselves through water. So, the whole iron horse, iron tracks that come along with it, the ease and how long and permanent it can be installed, well, it's a reason they're still here in town. And we still see the major rail yard infrastructure because kind of once placed, it's going to be there a while.
Right, it is. And it's a big connection with Mexico, too. Right?
No, absolutely.
So, that is a great continental location.
Absolutely, and part of the reason that we still see many of the trade transits, the umpteen ports of entry, either currently or potentially coming in, including specific rail ones that we have in our area. So a lot of people may think of this as sure, cowboy times cowboy technology, and yet I can almost guarantee that anything that someone has had, if it wasn't produced like right in their backyard or in their immediate area, probably was on a train before it got to them, odds are.
It's true. That was the fastest, most economic way to get merchandise and all kinds of freight, passenger travel, anywhere in this country at the time.
Absolutely. And again, still is, because, I mean, so the whole just south of I-10, past downtown, where we used to have the, huge interchange yard from a bunch of them. I mean, the land is still there, but a lot of those tracks are no longer either having been removed or not in use, because they've got the giant intermodal out near Santa Teresa now to kind of do the major cargo transfer. But still, fact of the matter is that it's still a huge part both of this region and of how stuff moves, because sure, we can think of, box trucks and cargo trucks a lot. A lot of that ends up coming off of those trucks and then onto trains, or vice versa, is one of the major ways. So it's still very relevant today, but y'all going to be delving into some of this history and kind of some of this transitional history as well, because, 3420 on its own, having been, when was it actually initially built?
It was in 1904.
Yeah.
And it was built to carry, cargo and things like that. It wasn't built for passengers.
Right.
But it was a real workhorse and did a lot.
Absolutely. And of course, there are other significant trains, some of them which won't be able to be present there because they're currently behind glass in other ways, such as, locomotive number 1. But that'll be a part of some of the history that you're talking about, right?
Yes, it will be. And that's a real national treasure, built in 1857.
Wow.
And that was kind of the first era of railroading. So it's kind of neat to have the first era here in El Paso and then the second era with 3420.
Absolutely here. So we're going to be talking further about, of course, this history and what will be further exhibited during the show. So again, that's Woody Bear, the project manager, and of course, Patricia Kiddney here with us in studio, the exhibitor coordinator, all again with the El Paso Train Show. Again, March 18th. Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 850 Hawkins. That's the Freeport-McMoran Copper Refinery. Had a chance to be out there myself previously, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and take that first break of this hour right now. You are, of course, tuned in to the El Paso History Radio Show. Stay tuned for more after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show, streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Bainey, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archived pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano, and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Donovan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home Team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area history at youtube.com/El Paso History TV. Additionally, watch a dozen TV documentaries about El Paso history for free there on our YouTube channel. This includes Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and 8 more TV documentaries produced by El Paso filmmaker Jackson Polk since 2001. And at youtube.com/El Paso History TV, you can watch for free 20 short videos we produced that were broadcast on ABC 7 KVIA TV newscasts. This series is called El Paso History TV and features Spanish missions and churches on El Paso's Mission Trail, plus the Guadalupe Mission in Juarez, Mexico. That church was built in 1659 and is the oldest known adobe building on the El Paso Juarez Valley. It still welcomes Catholic worshipers today. Go to El Paso History TV on youtube.com.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Of course, we are the El Paso History Radio Show on Facebook. Go there for our weekly promo announcements, and of course, the recordings both of this and our previous episodes. Kind of serves as one of our archives. Of course, the YouTube channel does there as well, youtube.com/El Paso History TV, where you can again find all of that, all of the also previous segments we've done, including the ABC 7 TV series from El Paso History TV, kind of quick history bits on important subjects and topics in our region, and of course the entire series of El Paso Gold DVDs from Capstone Productions, covering more than the last couple of decades of history production here in town, uploaded entirely for free for your viewing pleasure. And also a reminder to support some of our advertisers, including Pepe's Restaurant in Canutillo, open for in-house dining, 6761 Doniphan Drive. I will not be headed out there after this show, unfortunately, but often are out there after our recordings have finished airing. So if you want to give them a call, find their hours, and of course, find out more about their menu, the one and only margarita, among other things on the Great Old Griggs recipes, give them a call, 915-877-2152. That's 915-877-2152. Of course, they are at 6761 Doniphan Drive. But again, today we are talking about the upcoming El Paso Train Show, March 18th, this coming Saturday. So not this one. And again, still joining us here in studio are Woody Bear and Patricia Kiddney with the train show. And of course, this is an organization and a way to promote parts of our history. And as you mentioned, both exhibitors still being considered if they want to reach out to y'all, both through the website, which is sp3420.org, sp3420.org, or also over on the El Paso Railroad and Transportation Museum on Facebook, right?
Yes.
And so on those points about how people can reach out to y'all and become a part of it, I was looking for members and people who are interested and wanting to help both preserve and further the education of this kind of history. Always looking for a few more good members, right?
Yes. Always looking for membership.
So if people want to get involved, I mean, obviously holding events like this, but what do they need to know and what's involved with being a member?
Well, it's called the Southwest Chapter of the Railway and Locomotive Historical Society. Mm-hmm. The dues are $55 a year. You get a chapter newsletter. You also get a national newsletter several times a year. And the national also will put out 2 professionally written books about railroad histories entailing somewhere in the United States. So, I mean, it's you get your money's worth for that. But we also have monthly meetings at TMOS 2000 Montana. And usually we'll have a speaker there that will talk about some sort of history of this region, something maybe related to railroads, but then maybe not. We have different things of different interest. But it's TMOS 2000 Montana and Eucalyptus at 6 p.m. So if you'd like to join, you can check the website or come out to one of our meetings. And it also gives you more access to 3420 and the other equipment that we have.
So if you've got an interest in this or wanted to learn more about it, it's a good place to start there. So again, the meet TMOS 2000 Montana and Eucalyptus 6 p.m. And we often mention that here, Patricia. You're pretty good at sending us to make those announcements of when it's coming up, right?
That's right. I'm a member of about 6 organizations.
Absolutely. So again, with the train show and the details that are coming out there, we're going to talk a little bit more about the history, not even just of what the general area part of the era is, but also 3420 itself. We got a whole list of just designations of the vehicle itself to get through here, and kind of the history of the way it exemplifies that. So again, if you just want to put a pin in that for right now, if people want to be exhibitors or still a part of the, again, upcoming train show, again, sp3420.org is a good starting point here. But if they're wanting to be involved with that, what are you looking for, and what do they need? What will they need to do if they want to be a part of it for this upcoming event?
Well, they'll need to let us know, and then we can talk to them, and we'll furnish a table. And if you need electricity, you'll need to bring your own equipment, your own electrical cords and lighting and things like that. But we'll furnish a couple of chairs for you. And you can be indoors, or you can be outside with me. I'm always outside with the kids' games and promoting everything out there. But it's an all-day way to share your history, to share your organization and your upcoming events. So we are thrilled to invite any group to come join us.
Again, that's for the El Paso Train Show, March 18, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We've got to take that next break right now. So coming out of this, we'll talk more about, again, some of the history, or very much a case in point of the history, right after this break. So stay tuned. More on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show, streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Bainey, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archived pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano, and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area history at youtube.com/El Paso History TV. Additionally, watch a dozen TV documentaries about El Paso history for free there on our YouTube channel. This includes Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and 8 more TV documentaries produced by El Paso filmmaker Jackson Polk since 2001. And at youtube.com/El Paso History TV, you can watch for free 20 short videos we produced that were broadcast on ABC7 KVIA TV newscasts. This series is called El Paso History TV and features Spanish missions and churches on El Paso's Mission Trail, plus the Guadalupe Mission in Juarez, Mexico. That church was built in 1659 and is the oldest known adobe building on the El Paso Juarez Valley. It still welcomes Catholic worshipers today. go to El Paso History TV on YouTube.com.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Of course, there are some of the other great partners in promoting aspects of local history we want to mention, including the great group over at Celebration of Our Mountains. That, of course, their website is celebrationofourmountains.org. Some of their upcoming events and listings here, but they're going to be our guests next week on the program as well to talk about some of the exciting things, revamping and changes, and almost return to forms in some ways that they'll be working on. So check them out, but also watch that space again. So the group Celebration of Our Mountains, often doing great hikes, walks, tours, both in, around, about the natural environment, but also indoors often. So whatever works for you, they probably have something around here to help focus on both the natural, physical, and human environment around us. So do appreciate them as they talk about us, and we're very excited to talk about them upcoming here. And of course, we do have in here in studio with us right now, we do have Woody Bear and Patricia Kiddney with the El Paso Train Show coming up here. And a point that we wanted to make, just in case it hadn't been made clear, is that this show is completely free, both for exhibitors and for guests, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So that one again happening 850 Hawkins, south of I-10 at the Freeport McMoran Copper Refinery, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Not this, but next Saturday. So don't worry, you haven't missed it there yet. So we are doing this one as the preview of it. So we've been talking about some of the history, both of course, the whole systems and how they have transformed this region. But you're kind of be doing a case in point of the changes over time that have been able to be seen in our region when it comes to this particular vehicle itself, this one, 3420, as we are talking about, because, it wasn't, at the very least, wasn't always 3420, right?
Right, it wasn't. It was first owned by the El Paso Northeastern, then the El Paso Southwestern, and then became a part of the Southern Pacific, with each line changing the number and the name along the way.
And of course, even just within that, this wasn't just the train is moving in different places. There was different usages of it that were happening. There was different even revamps that were happening too on like fuel sources. So kind of in this, you mentioned, of course, that you do have locomotive number 1, which again, behind glass can be seen essentially down the ramp from the ballpark is the easiest way I refer to where that one is these days for those who are unfamiliar with, locomotive number 1. It's the one that is kind of, you could almost miss it if you were just focused on the sidewalk in front of you there and not paying attention to the windows next to you, part of the parking garage. That's kind of the one designated for the ballpark. So that one, like I said, the first era, but then when it comes to 3420, it kind of shows both kind of the growth out of that era and then the many transitional eras that have been seen almost ever since.
Right. Number 1 is about half the size of 3420. So it shows you the kind of the evolution, how things grew in size and also in power as the comparison. So
even just look at, we don't have like a good side-by-side here, but look at like the cabin, the part that is designated for the human component of the running of these machines, between that and then 3420, just how much bigger than the steam cylinder, the steam generation is compared to that it got a lot bigger. You couldn't just look straight out the front window anymore without having to kind of look around the giant mechanism.
Right. The boiler, the firebox and things like that. Everything is much bigger because you need more power. Hauling cargo, got bigger, a lot different types of things that you need to haul.
Absolutely. So we do have at least one example of, just to give the human scale of it. This is a gentleman just next to the wheel, and he's got about a head over the wheel, but that's about it.
Right. That's Gary. He'll be at our train show.
Oh,
he is the engineer, and he will describe how the engine operates, the history, and he is a retired engineer, and he's still a lot with steam, so that's the exciting part about him.
Absolutely, and we got some of the, you've been doing this. You have that one picture that we popped up from the 80s, and of course there's been a lot of different time frames that you all have been focusing on this and seeing even the restoration and of course the commemoration of the restoration. 3420 rides again, as you all mentioned, doing that. And so just again, the history of this machine on its own here, moving from the 1904, so more than 100 years old at this point, and even just on the time when it went to the many different lines, both in, around, through, and south of the United States of this region into the Mexico area, and was even converted and what it actually ran on at one point, right?
It was first coal, and then later on it was changed to oil burning, and that was after the mines in Dawson closed.
Okay, so when we're talking about that, it was being used both as, transport around the area, but then specifically for like a particular industrial use then, right?
Right. At first, it was hauling coal to the mines in Arizona, western New Mexico, and as the years went by, after World War I, there wasn't as much a need for copper. So it was leased to CIA Cervecería de Chihuahua S.A. and also CIA Harinera El Globo S.A., and it ran from Juarez to Torreon. And we believe they were probably bringing beer to Juarez during Prohibition, and so it had quite a mission.
I was wondering about that CIA Cervecera, because you're wondering, okay, am I mishearing that this involves cerveza
Right.
in that year? So, okay, interesting history even in its own right, because, of course, we had, let's just say there are certain businesses and locations that may be very interestingly still located next to the border, as may have been a part of that at that point in time, the whole prohibition, whether it mattered or not, what part of the international border you were on. So I didn't even know this train had an aspect of it.
Yeah, part of the bootlegging history, of the United States. So it's been all over. It's amazing, from Arizona to northern New Mexico, El Paso, and Mexico, of course.
And so, again, very specifically, people are going to be able to literally get their hands on this train as it is going to be out there during the El Paso Train Show. Again, March 18th. Again, I just want to note, free and open to the public and both exhibitors. So you're going to be having what kind of demonstrations are going to be having of the actual train itself?
Well, you climb up into the cab, and our engineer there will describe the function of the firebox, the boiler, all of the switches and the water glass and different gauges and things, and how it functions. Also the tender, which carries the oil and the water for the boiler.
Right. So, this was, I think we have some of the, no, this isn't it. But this is kind of the idea that people may have from that idea. You see this picture. Which one is this one? This one's
very early with the El Paso Northeastern.
So this is it. Still it, and you can see the tender there with the pile of coal in the back there, as you were having to have the kind of maybe stereotypical idea of shoveling it in there.
Right.
And then you can see a very big difference between the tender than when it was that picture we have before the actual, Union Depot, because it's not so much a pile as it is, you kind of look at it, it almost looks tank-like, because that's what it ended up having to be, because you're not shoveling oil.
No, you're not shoveling oil. You're piping it through.
You're piping it through. So very interesting changes in technology that was even be used on its own here, and different ways that y'all have seen this vehicle used over the years, right? Even with it, some popular media here in town.
Right. Yeah. The popular department store used it for a photo shoot with women of different types of clothing. It was used for a Justin Boot company ad at one time. So it's had a lot of different things. People have come up with different ideas to use it and show it. And people really don't think about, when they see these advertisements, where that locomotive is or what locomotive, it actually was from, the history and everything behind it.
So kind of the upshot there is people may have seen this train, or at least parts of this train, without ever necessarily recognizing it or realizing it.
Right, yeah.
Because it's been around town in a whole lot of different ways over the years here. So again, with the train show, what's coming up with that, they'll be able to get all over, see the operation and how it worked there for it. But again, do not want to be remiss on all the other activities, because even the exhibitors, you got both indoor and outdoor, like you were mentioning, Patricia. So it's not all like right next to the train tracks. It's going to be kind of all over the site and all over different facets of this, right?
Oh yeah, and it's a great day to bring your family out. Kids love just to run around the park. They love to climb off and on and off the train and
Sure.
the caboose. They like the kids area. They like going in, listening to what's going on in there. And it's we have food truck. We have food for people.
Oh, excellent.
So it's a really neat family day, and it's a way to learn about history.
Absolutely here. So again, the El Paso Train Show, March 18th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 850 Hawkins, south of I-10 at Freeport McMoran, the copper refinery, just to kind of further reinforce that link as it existed in history of the copper to our area. But let's go ahead and take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll wrap up this part of our show here, talking about the train show. A few more details coming up on that, so stay tuned. More here on the El Paso History Radio Show on News Radio 690 KTSM.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show, streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Bainey, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archived pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area history at youtube.com/El Paso History TV. Additionally, watch a dozen TV documentaries about El Paso history for free there on our YouTube channel. This includes Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and 8 more TV documentaries produced by El Paso filmmaker Jackson Polk since 2001. And at youtube.com/El Paso History TV, you can watch for free 20 short videos we produced that were broadcast on ABC7 KVIA TV newscasts. This series is called El Paso History TV and features Spanish missions and churches on El Paso's Mission Trail, plus the Guadalupe Mission in Juarez, Mexico. That church was built in 1659 and is the oldest known adobe building on the El Paso Juarez Valley. It still welcomes Catholic worshipers today. Go to El Paso History TV on youtube.com.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Some of our other great partners in promoting different aspects of El Paso's history we want to mention here, including Rick Kern's music podcast, Talk and Rock Radio. Find him over on Talk and Rock Radio. That's AND rockradio.com. There's a lot of remembrances, interesting different parts of particularly El Paso's music history, particularly during the golden age of rock and roll and the production and different characters that Rick himself was able to speak with, be a part of, see over the years, as well as what's still coming through town these days. So again, talkandrockradio.com. But again, closing out the first hour of the program here today, still joined here in studio by Patricia Kiddney and Woody Bear with the El Paso Train Show, again, March 18th. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as much as there is a whole lot going to be going on out there, full day event as mentioned, and a whole lot of exhibitions, one more thing I want to make sure we mention is not even just the, of course, 3420 that's going to be out there and the very impressive locomotive that is, but then there's also going to be, again, a few other rolling stock pieces out there, right?
Right. We have a caboose, and we're going to have a conductor that will be out in the caboose, and he will explain not only railroad history, but the purpose behind the caboose. They're no longer used,
right,
but they had a very serious purpose during their time.
Yeah, it was not just well, you have to have something at the end of the train, right? It was very functional. I mean, the way braking works and all that kind of stuff here. And one thing I wanted to make sure we didn't miss when talking about the history, particularly of 3420 itself, is that it was actually donated to the city of El Paso back in 1956, right after a whole lifetime of operation.
Right, when we changed from steam to diesel locomotives.
Absolutely. And just to make a further note of that here, that was done at that point to celebrate 75 years of the railroad being in El Paso.
Yes, yeah, it was quite an event.
And so, even thinking about that point, so we're approaching, in the next several years here, the 150th anniversary of railroads being in El Paso.
Yes.
So that'll be just something to look forward to there. Yeah, 142 by my calculations, if I'm doing my numbers right now. So that's impressive, and just the era of history that we've been living in, the constant changes here. So, of course, when it comes to the event that you all are holding itself here, you're going to be doing the train show, again, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Exhibitions going on throughout the day. So mention a few more of the ones that we've been kind of discussing throughout there, Patricia.
Well, we're going to have Six Guns Head Shady Ladies
Absolutely.
doing the reenactment of the first deadly train robbery, and that will be done twice a day. It'll be at 12 noon and at 3:30.
So remember to show up at least for one of those, because seeing how it was that interaction back and forth will be very interesting itself here. But then stuff going on throughout the rest of the day as well. Like you mentioned, the food trucks and the other exhibitions, a lot of stuff for the kids and the whole family.
Absolutely. It's a great day to learn about our history. It's a great day to learn about all facets of transportation. And it's just good to be out and have a hands-on experience.
Absolutely. And also further noting here that along with the kids' activity and the fact that it is free, I mean, the food trucks, you got to pay for them, but the otherwise activities, and every child gets a free train party hat, right?
That's right.
So do get a souvenir out there available for it. And again, you're still looking for those exhibitors if they want to also further be a part of this, help focus on those aspects of El Paso's history. So we mentioned a couple of places that they can do so, either with the El Paso Railroad and Transportation Museum over on Facebook, or SP3420, that's SP3420.org. But they can also give you a call if they want to try to, if they're hearing this right now and realizing, oh, hey, we should be a part of this, right?
That's right. You can call me at 915-241-6285.
One more time, if you don't mind.
915-241-6285.
So, of course, all the stuff on exhibition out there, again, indoors and outdoors. The train is certainly a focus, but it's not all like right next to the tracks here. So there'll be a whole lot of areas people can go through, right?
That's right. We also have some ATVs to transport people back and forth. It's not real far, but some people do have a mobility issue.
Okay, so people will be able to interact with this just about any way that they really can, and the ability to do this. So, y'all do this on it's been a little less than a year technically, but on an annual-ish basis, right?
We try to do it every year. This year we're doing it 2 months earlier. We thought it might be more convenient for people during spring break. All of the schools are out. Parents are looking for things to do with their kids, and this would be a great time for them to be involved in something like this.
Absolutely. A whole lot of the scheduling I'm dealing with around this whole spring break thing here, as a lot of them have aligned with these new time frames. And so when it really comes down to, why keep putting this on, trains are, of course, a modern feature of our world. There are so many parts of El Paso that are still impacted by it, if only from railroad crossings, those kind of debates. But when focusing on the history part of it here, what do you hope people get out of this after coming to the show like this?
Well, it has a lot of different things. It's not only history, but it's El Paso history. It involves mechanics, chemicals, all types of things. Patricia mentioned STEM. This is early STEM. And from this, we built on to the modern era right now. So this is a way to look at early industrial type history.
Absolutely. And STEM and STEAM, both literally and kind of tongue-in-cheek here, what we're talking about.
That's good.
Absolutely. So, again, guests right now here in studio with us have been Woody Bear and Patricia Kiddney, both project manager and exhibitor coordinator, respectively, with the El Paso Train Show. Thank you all very much for speaking with us about these details and what people can expect coming up here today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And so, again, check that out Saturday, March 18th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Again, sb3420.org for those details. Got to take that break right now. Coming back at the top of the hour and the news break, we'll be talking more about some other aspects of El Paso history, including the El Paso Archaeological Museum. So stay tuned for more here on the El Paso History Radio Show on News Radio 690 KTSM. Back in a minute.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Bainey, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archive pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area history at youtube.com/El Paso History TV. Additionally, watch a dozen TV documentaries about El Paso history for free there on our YouTube channel. This includes Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and 8 more TV documentaries produced by El Paso filmmaker Jackson Polk since 2001. And at youtube.com/El Paso History TV, you can watch for free 20 short videos we produced that were broadcast on ABC 7 KVIA TV newscasts. This series is called El Paso History TV and features Spanish missions and churches on El Paso's Mission Trail, plus the Guadalupe Mission in Juarez, Mexico. That church was built in 1659 and is the oldest known adobe building on the El Paso Juarez Valley. It still welcomes Catholic worshipers today. Go to El Paso History TV on youtube.com. You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Bainey, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archive pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area history at youtube.com/El Paso History TV. Additionally, watch a dozen TV documentaries about El Paso history for free there on our YouTube channel. This includes Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and 8 more TV documentaries produced by El Paso filmmaker Jackson Polk since 2001. And at youtube.com/El Paso History TV, you can watch for free 20 short videos we produced that were broadcast on ABC 7 KVIA TV newscasts. This series is called El Paso History TV and features Spanish missions and churches on El Paso's Mission Trail, plus the Guadalupe Mission in Juarez, Mexico. That church was built in 1659 and is the oldest known adobe building on the El Paso Juarez Valley. It still welcomes Catholic worshipers today. Go to El Paso History TV on youtube.com.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Starting out hour 2 of the program, we're going to be getting into a different subject for this portion of the program, talking about the El Paso Museum of Archaeology and its ongoing events. But we're also going to, of course, start hour 2 of the program, as we usually do, with a history moment from documentary filmmaker Jackson Polk, talking this week about the history of the Star on the Mountain.
The first star on the mountain was built by El Paso Electric in 1940. It was only 50 feet wide and could barely be seen from the Carlsbad Highway. The first star didn't last long either, because the storm blew out most of its bulbs. Soon after that, a bigger and better star was built. It was 403 feet long, 300 feet wide, and used 300 lights. Improvements were made in 1946, increasing the length to 459 feet and reducing the width to 278 feet. A total of 459 150-watt lights was used. Today, the star still has those dimensions. The rust-proof steel poles that support the lights are embedded in concrete. The poles vary in height from 12 to 15 feet, start at the mountaintop, and run down to a point about 300 feet above Scenic Drive. The star sits at an angle of 30 degrees and appears perfect when viewed from the focal point at the intersection of Texas and Alameda Avenues. From the air, the star may be seen to the east for 100 miles, and on the ground for 30 miles. Starting during World War II, the star was lighted every year, but only during the Christmas season. That changed in 1993, when Jack Maxson, the president of the El Paso Chamber of Commerce, spearheaded a movement to keep the star lit throughout the year. So at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, April 2, 1993, during the Chamber's annual banquet, the star on the mountain was lighted, sparkling in the night sky, as it has every evening since then. In December 2000, the maintenance and upkeep of the star was officially turned over to the El Paso Chamber. I'm Jackson Polk with this history moment for the El Paso History Radio Show.
Also, of course, at this point in the program, I do have to mention some of our other great partners in promoting aspects of El Paso history, including the great Facebook group, Remember in El Paso When, and Barbara Given-Baney, the operator of such. You can go there for archive pictures galore. They have more than 34,000 members as of last check. Please remember, the administrators have worked hard in researching photos with our history attached, so when using the photos, they do ask that credit be given to their site. So again, for Remember in El Paso When, Chief Owner, Admin, and Historian Barbara Given-Baney, affectionately known as BGB. Also, along with admins Rick Duncan, Rick Nahara, Margaret D. Smith, and Jim Gerber, along with moderators Ben Vincent and Dan Graves, are always looking for more few good hands, because it's no mean feat to keep a group of that size and scope on task and on track. And they do a great job of doing so, but they're always looking for a few more good hands, as mentioned. So if you want to find them or just be a part of it and see what the discussions and photos, a whole lot more that happens over there, including our promo announcements, Remember in El Paso When. Name of the Facebook group, Remember in El Paso When. So as we're getting into hour 2 of the program here, we are joined now in studio by Sebastian Ribas-Norman, Museum Director for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. Thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Absolutely happy to have you on, because talking about the Archaeology Museum, I remember going there many years ago as, a younger kid, maybe not totally able to appreciate what was going on there, because it was an interesting place. Had some interesting diagrams that will show up here in a minute, but wasn't necessarily totally the mind frame I was in here. But so it's a very important part of our history, because it's all the stuff that maybe, well, you can't really see in, videos and movies and documented in pictures, because it predates all of that here. So for those, anyone who is unfamiliar, as there has been, a lot of unavailability at certain points in times in recent years of in-person facilities. So I'm sure there's plenty in our audience who have been out there many times and have been out there recently, which is another thing we're going to be talking about, some of your ongoing programming. But for anyone who has just not heard of it or maybe forgotten about it, what is the El Paso Museum of Archaeology?
Well, El Paso Museum of Archaeology is one of the 3 museums currently under the city of El Paso. Our sister museums, obviously, are Museum of Art and Museum of History downtown. We will be shortly, in less than a year, hopefully be joined by the Mexican American Cultural Center and the Children's Museum, La Nube.
Of course.
So that's exciting times for us. But the Museum of Archaeology originated in 1970s, was opened officially in 1977. With a great community effort, at the same time that also the community also worked on the old Cavalry Museum that became the History Museum. So the museums kind of developed together. We are located at 4301 Trans Mountain Road, which is basically the intersection of US 54 and Trans Mountain. Right next to us, we have our neighbors, which is the National Border Patrol Museum,
right?
A non-profit museum. Non-affiliated with the Border Patrol, actually.
Right.
That's very important to remember. So we form a small campus of museums up there, and we are sitting in about 10 acres of natural land, Chihuahuan Desert, which is protected parkland. So this is a park that it's owned by the city of El Paso, but it's not a regular park. It is.
Yeah.
It has its certain degree of protection that puts it at the same level as Franklin Mountains State Park. So nothing can be done on that land without proper authorizations, proper rule bypassing, going through.
Absolutely. And you all do have programming out there, because there's also the Wilderness Park part of it.
Correct.
We've been showing some pictures up there, including the TP demonstration you all have had out there, some of the landscape and some of the recent snows and things that we have had. And it's also worth noting that, again, as it goes right next to, well, the Franklin Mountain State Park, but more specifically the former Kasner Range, there are certain regions people should stay exactly where they are on trails and such.
Yes, and luckily when you come visit our site, please stay on the trails. Don't go off of our land. It's pretty well marked by big signs put up by Fort Bliss and the Army.
Right.
There is an exploded ordnance, especially to the west of our land.
Uphill, so to speak.
Yeah, uphill, yes, sir. And that is an area that we don't suggest for people to adventure into because there's a certain risk.
Absolutely, and there's a whole bunch of signs of, there's blow me up stuff hanging out there. So don't do that, but the site itself, of course, having been established for years, it's perfectly safe. Let's just make that perfectly clear. And there are other events that happen out there, including what we'll talk about a little bit later in this hour of the show, the Poppies Fest, which is definitely an exciting thing, but we'll talk about that. That's just one of the things going on for us today. But when it comes to the actual archaeology museum itself here, you all have quite a lot of exhibits and different things on demonstration, including both things that you would probably expect, including, pottery, remnants of artifacts in and around this region. And the regional aspect, I think, is a very important part of it here, because it's not even just about, the immediate area, what is now El Paso, Texas, not even just the county, but really the whole region, because, of course, as we step further back into history, these specific types of designations, national boundaries didn't exist, and the peoples that particularly inhabited this area, that wasn't the most important thing, this idea of boundaries that we have today. So there's a whole lot of roaming throughout this whole region.
Yes, that is very correct. So to go a little bit over what we have, or what the visitors will find when they come visit us, we basically have kept kind of like a division, I would say, in the museum. It has two particular galleries at each side of our lobby when you go in. So the diorama gallery, we call it like that, visitors are going to be able to experience what is the old museum, actually, like the museum from the 80s. Those dioramas haven't really changed much through time. We are planning in doing some upgrades to them, but very minimal, because they really have their charm.
Absolutely.
There are very few museums right now in the country that still do dioramas that way. It's something that is getting lost in museums. I think we want to keep it for our visitors to see. They are really, really excited when they see those dioramas. They teach a lot. They are very useful, especially with small age children.
Oh, sure.
There are very visual aids for us to teach about the archaeology of the region. So that's what you will see on that end, on that gallery. It will cover from Paleo-Indian, which is about 12,000 years ago, even older. We will talk a little bit about that date.
Yeah, sure.
And then it covers to Archaic period, which is around 8,000 BC until 200 AD. And then you will step into formative period, which is when the Jornada Mogollón lived here in this region. As you said, it was both sides of the actual border.
Yep.
So there were really no borders to be seen at that time.
And the only part important was where people could live, where habitation was possible, which, I mean, sure, people may think, like, the Rio Grande, water, and yet there's a whole lot more going on there. So we've been popping some of those pictures here, including some of the more, don't really have any good pictures of the archaic dioramas you have, but I want to say this one here of the Piro and Manso people, I want to say that's an example of one of them, and then, of course, of the Pueblo culture that has existed within the larger region, and then the Apaches, as they are some of their, their dancers and their ceremonies going on there, all of this represented. And so just kind of want to take that moment to segue that you all had programming going on to feature that specifically. This is one I got to attend with a speaker from the Mescalero Apache Reservation just up to the north here, talking about that. And that's one of those aspects. Besides, I mean, people may remember seeing some of those dioramas and things over the years, but y'all are doing both new galleries and new programming, including this was one part of a speaker series you have going on, right?
That's correct. We understand the lecture series usually is like conference style, like lecture style. But we also want to walk away a little bit out of it, of the regular format, and have somebody that just comes and presents about their culture. The museum wants to become an open house for Native Americans to voice themselves. We want to be an outlet for them. It's not only showcasing them, it's for them to be able to express themselves. So we had the chance to work in the past months with the Mescalero Apache tribe. Mr. Joy Padilla is a tribal elder. He is a traditional medicine man, and he is the director of the current little cultural center and museum that they have up there in Mescalero, New
Actually,
Mexico.
on the reservation, right?
So he is the ideal person to give an overview to the general public about what their culture is. We did the same in November with Rick Quesada from the Isleta del Sur Pueblo. This was a lecture sponsored by El Paso Archaeological Society. We were hosting it, but basically we did the same. He talked about the history of the tribe and how their land came to be. He was very specific about the land grant that they received from Spain, and then how that was lost through history when immigrants came here into the valley in El Paso and Canada started to claim land.
Yeah, for their settlements, both lost in terms of the land itself as well as the specific documents that were part of the grant as well, kind of both aspects of it.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, they have the original or they have copies of the original land grant given to them by the Spanish government. But then after that, that was not considered valid by the Anglo settlers that came through starting in the early 1800s. And then that caused a loss of land for the Isleta del Sur Pueblo.
So part of the talk there. And again, so kind of to highlight this is part of a series of talks you're going to be having going on through a good chunk of the rest of this year, right?
Yes. What we are planning, it's a lecture every other month.
Every other month, okay.
We don't close the door to have an occasional other lecture that might happen out of that schedule.
Oh, sure.
But we started with Mr. Padilla from the Mescalero tribe in February. Next one is going to be April 29th. We're going to be hosting Mr. Alan Dart from Old Pueblo in Tucson. He's going to be giving a lecture about rock art in the Southwest and explain a little bit some of the features of that rock art. So that should be pretty interesting for people that are very interested in that aspect of the Southwest art and culture from prehistoric peoples. There is a lot to be learned. There are very different regional divisions.
Certainly.
In the rock art. So
even just in some of the peoples we've discussed here, whether it be the Paleo or the Morguillon or even the more recent peoples, a kind of a good example on a previous show we've talked about would be the various eras that can be seen, say, out at Waco Tanks and the different layers. So it's kind of a case in point there for longtime listeners. But we'll talk more about this coming up on the need for that first break of this hour right now. But again, joining us here in studio is Sebastian Ribas-Norman, the museum director for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology, talking more about that history and what's going on with the museum and its ongoing programming. So stay tuned. More on the El Paso History Radio Show after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Bainey, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archive pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Some of the stuff that we're talking about here today we'll continue focusing on for the El Paso History, the El Paso Museum of Archaeology, back here in just a second. But of course, something to remind you about what's coming up for you next week on the program. Next week, actually, we'll be talking with the El Paso Celebration of Our Mountains. We'll be talking both with the new executive director and some of the existing members and leadership there, as they are doing some revamping and some new things coming forth, including a new series of meetings they will be doing, as well as how they deal with the very impressive subjects of the mountains and all the physical environment we inhabit. Plus, we'll be talking specifically about some of the plane crash history that you can hike to up in the mountains, among other things, and surrounding areas, including one that I was surprised to learn about. But we'll be talking about that again next week on the program. Also remind you about some of the other events going on in and around our region, as we talked with our guests last hour. Among other things, we got a lot of stuff going on in our area. Don't forget, of course, about the El Paso Train Show happening at Freeport-McMoran next Saturday, March 18th at the 850 Hawkins Freeport-McMoran Copper Refinery. But then even then before that, March 13th on Monday, there will be the Harvey Girls of El Paso. We'll be meeting at the historic Union Passenger Train Depot at 2 p.m. And so you can find out information on that at 915-241-6285. Again, 915-241-6285. And then finally, on March 24th, Friday, the El Paso Corral of Westerners, number 26, will meet at Luby's Cantina, 3601 North Mesa at 5:30 p.m. to talk about Pancho Villa's Revenge Road to Columbus, New Mexico, March 9th, 1916. Information there again, 915-241-6285. So, again, joining us here in studio right now, we are joined by Sebastian Ribas-Norman, Museum Director of the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. So, when it comes to the museum, y'all have new efforts, new things going on. So, if people want to get involved, of course, always accepting, volunteers, people to be involved with it, but also even people just want to support the museum, y'all accepting members, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, membership base is very important for the museum. It supports most of our programming, even some of the exhibits that we do. So it's very critical for the function of the museum. Obviously, after COVID, memberships drop very dramatically. We are in a slow recovery, but seeing a steadily flow of memberships, renewals, and new memberships coming in. So I really want to let out there, please, if you like the Museum of Archaeology, like history in general, support your museums here, not only us, but also the other museums of the city. Membership is not too expensive. You can go online to our website, epmarch.org, and you will go to a tab where you can donate, or you can become a member. You will see the tiers that you have there, and you can choose your membership.
Absolutely. So mentioning there, epmarch.org for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. So it's not just EPMA, it's EPMARCH for El Paso Museum of Archaeology, the first four letters there. And then if you look under the Get Involved tab, they do have the Become a Member. And so the different tiers, including student, military, senior, teacher, individual, family, supporter circle. There's a whole lot of different levels you can get involved with and be a part of it there, along with, of course, abilities and opportunities to become also a volunteer, docents, etc. So All that over at epmarch.org. So again, guest right now is, of course, Sebastian Ribas-Norman, the museum director. We're talking more about what's going on at the El Paso Museum of Archaeology after this next break, so stay tuned for after this on News Radio 690 KTSM.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show, streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Baney, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archived pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV for archives of the El Paso History Radio Show. Also on that YouTube channel, you can see for free many other videos, documentaries, and lectures about El Paso area history at youtube.com/El Paso History TV. Additionally, watch a dozen TV documentaries about El Paso history for free there on our YouTube channel. This includes Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and 8 more TV documentaries produced by El Paso filmmaker Jackson Polk since 2001. And at youtube.com/El Paso History TV, you can watch for free 20 short videos we produced that were broadcast on ABC7 KVIA TV newscasts. This series is called El Paso History TV and features Spanish missions and churches on El Paso's Mission Trail, plus the Guadalupe Mission in Juarez, Mexico. That church was built in 1659 and is the oldest known adobe building on the El Paso Juarez Valley. It still welcomes Catholic worshipers today. Go to El Paso History TV on youtube.com. You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show, streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Gibbon-Baney, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archived pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Of course, want to mention some of our other great partners in promoting both this program and El Paso in general. El Paso Inc. is, of course, El Paso's business journal, and it is available for home or business delivery. Find them each and every week for their unique and enterprise in-depth reporting on the various issues facing our region, usually with a lot more going into it than you might standardly find. We appreciate the conversations we have with them. So to find out their latest stories, go to elpasoinc.com, where you can, of course, receive and set up your own subscription to get it online or in person. So remember, elpasoinc.com. That's elpasoinc.com. But again, joining us here in studio right now, we do have Sebastian Ribas-Norman, the museum director for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. So when it comes to the programming that you all have going on, we mentioned about the lecture series going on, but even also a lot going on when it comes to the exhibits. Of course, we have the ones that's definitely I remember from as a kid, including showing, the sacred dancers and the different depictions of it. But again, a lot of stuff you're doing on the kind of other side, as you mentioned, the other side of the gallery, where you have, among other things, where the lecture space has been going on, kind of revamped, and different depictions of, among other things, pictographs and petroglyphs that exist in the larger regions and other things going on. So when it comes to these exhibitions and the permanent stuff that you have on display, they're at least, more permanent than, just the lecture series. What are some of the things that you have going on there that is changing?
So, Andrew, basically since I've been appointed as director of the facility.
I've almost been remiss here. When were you appointed director?
I was placed interim at the end of March 2022.
Okay.
And then I was appointed in the full position in September.
Excellent. Well, congrats on that.
2022. So what one of the points is to upgrade the exhibits, renew them, basically. You had exhibits that had not changed for a long time.
Right.
And it's not good for the artifacts, number one. But also, being a museum of archaeology, we want to keep up with times, and we want to keep up with research that is current. So it's very important for us to be up to date. And a good example of that will be the first exhibit that I implemented, which was White Sands fossil tracks.
Okay. We have
that one,
of that
basically,
here.
we reach out to White Sands National Park, and we asked them if we could borrow anything that they had related to the footprints that were found there in 2018, 2019. Those are footprints that have been dated up to 23,000 years old.
Wow.
So that's backtracking 10,000 years, the dates that we have for Palo Indians here in the region of El Paso and surrounding.
So because there's often a comment or a thread of logic that I run into when it comes to changing exhibits, thinking like, well, what, have those artifacts changed? Have the stuff about them? Like, no, the previous research is what it is, but it's not that, okay, we did research and there's no more research ever. Stuff like this we got on screen here showing those footprints, and some of the fascinating part of it, it's not even just one set, it's layered sets, including footprints literally within footprints showing maybe a chase going on, among other things. So fascinating in that way. That's one I was definitely looking at when I was out there recently and was very excited to see. But the real thing is that there is new stuff there's new research happening, and so that's what you all want to be reflective of out there.
That's correct. I mean, we don't want it to be I don't like to call it that way, but we don't want it to be a dead museum.
There's dynamic stuff happening, and we want to reflect that.
Exactly. We want to dynamize the museum, not only with the exhibits, but also with the programming.
Absolutely.
That's what we've been doing since I've been there, and White Sands Fossil Tracks is one example. The other example will be our basketry exhibit. We have an outstanding collection of Native American baskets. Those date from the 1850s up to the, I would say, 1950s.
Okay.
Plus minus. You have gorgeous pieces that took probably over a year to weave. They just don't give an excellent point of view of the mastery of the Native Americans in their basket weaving, but also in the value that those items might have had
Okay.
Obviously, some of those pieces, especially the Apache produced in western Arizona, those pieces were produced to sell to the general public in the outposts, the trade outposts. So those pieces usually were involved with more work, and they're beautiful pieces.
Okay.
So we wanted to showcase everything from the household item, like regular daily use, to the beautiful, almost art piece.
Absolutely.
And the museum has a very, very good collection for that. And then, if you allow me, I wanted to end introducing the new exhibit that we're going to be opening. It's going to be called From Gods to Cachinas. It's going to be opening on March 25th, which is one of the days of our Poppies Fest.
Wow, right. Of course.
We will open officially to the public at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. We will have a preview for our members at 2:30. And this exhibit is very simple in its concept. It wants to showcase how the Mesoamerican world and the Southwest world interacted through time. There is about 4,000 years of history of trade, exchange of ideas, concepts, cosmologies that get showcased in different ways in both regions. And get adapted in different ways. So the exhibit is going to be a lot of visual images, a good amount of artifacts too. That gallery in the center that is used as an auditorium is going to have more cases than usual. Which will be a little bit of a challenge for us when we have lectures, but we'll manage.
Of course, yeah.
We'll manage. I mean, also a space constraint is one thing for our museum. We're a small museum, so we cannot do with what we have.
Absolutely, because you got a lot of stuff demonstrated there and out there. So I don't want to be remiss. And then for Miss, talking about the fact that Poppies Fest is going on. Actually, has already been going on. I kind of missed the fact that we are already seeing it, but I'd already, of course, been seeing pictures of some of the poppies out there. So here's the flyer for what's going on. And basically, this has been going on right next to both kind of on the property and then essentially right across I-10 is kind of where it's been located, at least previously, right?
US 54.
Oh, sorry, 54. My apologies. Right across 54, the one that, of course, leading up to there. And so you're doing that actually right in the poppy field. And you actually have some pictures of what is already existing out there right now. So the bloom is already ongoing.
Yes, the bloom is ongoing. Every day we get more flowers. It's not a huge bloom this year. It's not the biggest that we've seen, but it's pretty representative. So the Poppies Fest this year is coming back in a different format. We broke it down through like a full month celebration.
Right.
It used to be hosted in one day, but you were getting too much people and it was kind of not good for preservation.
Right, because, I mean, the poppies, as much as they are a great feature, I guess maybe people get the idea of, can you plant more poppies next year? Because that's not what you all do. The poppies exist as the poppies do. So
it's a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, making sure that they're out there and not being, just as a kind of a PSA, do not pick the poppies because you are therefore removing them from next year. / these are not like real like vase kind of flowers. They're not something that you can keep around and have like on display. Once you pick them, that's you pretty much started a countdown clock to like days.
That's correct.
That's going away. So just don't do it.
What our listeners should know is like each plant holds in between 200 and 300 seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pick up that plant, those are the amount of plants and flowers that you're not going to have next year.
Absolutely. And so the fact that they're out there and the whole history of that, the special soil we have, the fact that we see this beautiful gold bloom happening around this season every year, it's also dependent on the rains. I mean, that'll all be discussed and displayed out there as part of it. But yeah, the very important thing is that the way that's working this year is, so, okay, if you already missed the first part of the ongoing Poppies Fest, don't worry. There's another big one coming up next weekend as well. So make sure to go out to the train show and then also go to the kind of major incident or major event going on with Poppies Fest. But the good news is it's going on all the way through April 1st this year, right?
Correct. So you will have some activities this Saturday that we are airing our show.
Oh, yeah, so close to the 11th here, absolutely. We're going to be having, a bunch going on there.
But the 18th definitely will be a heavy day. We are going to have exhibitors. We are going to have some food trucks. We're going to have some performances. We'll have some belly dancing and, again, the Tigua dancers. we will have archery for the first time in since COVID. We're bringing back archery, which is a very popular activity that we have been offering. And then obviously a lot of crafts and activities for the little ones of the family happening also throughout that day. So please join us. It's very easy. You can park on site this year. There's no shuttle from EPCC. That's a question that we've been having. What our intention is, or spreading it, it was to make accessibility a lot easier. So it's been working very beautifully. Our first weekend was a success. We are hoping to see you there on the 18th.
Absolutely. And again, going on through April 1st this year. So got to take that next break right now. We'll talk a little bit more about the programming, ongoing events, and even what can be seen out there. Again, talking about the El Paso Museum of Archaeology after this next break here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
You are listening to the El Paso History Radio Show streaming on Facebook, where you can find archive radio programs. The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Chief Administrator Barbara Givenbaney, known as BGB. Check out that page for thousands of archive pictures and videos of El Paso history. Remember in El Paso When on Facebook. Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Native American, and Mexico items, plus unique pottery, blankets, and turquoise jewelry. Bring your family and out-of-town guests to visit Mission Del Rey Southwest's large showroom at Lee Trevino and Pelicano and see their website at missiondelrey.com. 915-440-2140 for souvenirs, gifts, and decor. Mission Del Rey Southwest.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The El Paso History Radio Show also streams on Saturday mornings on our YouTube channel, El Paso History TV. Go to youtube.com/El Paso.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing in this pre-recorded episode on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk, but again, still joining us here in studio right now is Sebastian Ribas-Norman, the Museum Director for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. Again, if you want to find out more about what we've been talking about this hour of the program, their website for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology, EP March, EPMARCH for El Paso Museum Archaeology, because it's ARCH. I know. Google it if you're not sure about the spelling of it. But yeah, epmarch.org is the place we can find what's going on here. You got your all's redesigned website that includes information about the exhibits, the ongoing events, the permanent, the Chalwin Desert Gardens, all those kind of things, as well as, again, how to become a member. But just want to talk more about, again, what you all are doing going on right now. Of course, have that new exhibit that is coming up, from Kachina, from Gods to Kachinas, as well as the lecture series that, if you missed that first one, it was a great one. I was very excited to be able to be out there for the speak, again, coming from the Mescalero Patsy traditional medicine man. But again, they have that next one that is coming up. That's full series going on through most of the rest of this year, right?
Correct. Every other month. You will have a lecture at our location. And next one is coming up on April 29th. That's going to be Mr. Alan Dart from Old Pueblo Center in Tucson, and he will be going over rock art in the Southwest.
So that going on, and again, they'll be going on and more announcements coming out. What is the next next event, next item of that coming up here, as well as, again, Poppies Fest going on right now. And I would be remiss if we didn't say the fact that, again, it's going on, has been going on all this month already. And they had some examples of what was already happening out there with some traditional dances of various different cultures, right? Among other things.
Correct. It's not as focused on archaeology. It's more focused for the public. So, yes, you had some traditional dances by the Tigua youth dancers, but also you had some folklorico dance, and then we had the wonderful Samba do Fogo group that really fired up our crew and our visitors, activating them, showing them some capoeira too, which is a Brazilian traditional martial arts. So very fun, very different. It's an outdoor event for all ages. So you will find anything to do, really. If you come, if you like one thing, you will find probably that thing here.
Absolutely. So again, the whole schedule up for it, we do have it up on screen for you right now. But if you missed any of the previous ones, as we are airing this week, March 13th, there are more events going on, even today, having started at 9 a.m., but going through a good portion of the rest of the day as well. And then March 18th, one of the big ones. But don't worry, even if you're wondering which event to go to, there's more going to be happening with Poppies Fest, March 25th, and even through April 1st this year, when the bloom is pretty well expected to be pretty well having been in progress, if not concluded by that point there. But you can even see this just kind of driving by the area if you head out towards that Trans Mountain Road, heading uphill from US 54 in that kind of way here. And y'all are doing a lot of programming, and even before this point, a lot of stuff going on. This was a pretty good example of where y'all are situated in the mountain. This was one of your actually astronomy nights, right?
Astronomy night that happens every year in July. We have a little bit of an intro to astronomy indoors, and then we move outside. We have some Native American storytelling with some summer stories related to the stars. This is Alex Mareks that runs this little segment, and then we go back once the light has dimmed enough to see the stars. We go over the constellations that you can see and what you could have seen 2,000 years ago.
Okay. Very interesting. And of course, y'all are doing this as you have become now the leadership on there with a staff, which a lot of credit is to be given to, right?
Yes. I couldn't pull this off without my wonderful staff. We are only 4 people, including myself. I have very, very, very good people under my wing. They are doing incredible things with what we are provided in question of budget. In question of donations, we are able to pull all those wonderful programs and exhibits for the general public. So keep that into account when you come visit us. We are working very hard for you.
Absolutely. And so just kind of a reminder of that, of course, over on that EP March, EPMARCH website, there is, of course, the ways to give donations, to become a volunteer, to become a member even. So just a good one to keep in mind as people are wondering about what's going on and how they can get involved there. Again, under the Get Involved tab, there's the Give Now opportunities, become a member. So all of those greatly appreciated as well.
Yes. And before I forget, also, just to remind our listeners to, if they can, follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We are very active there too. So that's a good way also to keep up to date with whatever we are coming up with, be it exhibits, programs. Right now, this week, we've been hosting the spring camp for children, and we will have in June and July, we will have a summer camp also for children. So, those are great things to keep into account.
Absolutely. So again, that website, if you want to see the Facebook, that is facebook.com/EPMARCH for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. Just search up the Museum of Archaeology and you'll probably find it there for El Paso. But yeah, it's facebook.com/EPMARCH to find it over there. So similar names both on Facebook and on y'all's website. And so the things that you all are doing, and I guess the real point that I'm kind of wanting to get across with us doing this whole interview today is that you all are being active and introducing new things, different things, along with still what has been the purpose all along, focus on the archaeology here, but taking that mission even further forward, right? How would you describe how kind of you're coming out this as you have become the leadership for this particular institution here in El Paso?
It's going to be more and more dynamic. You are going to get more programs from us. We have a lot in planning for the future. And you will have a lot more offering coming out from the Museum of Archaeology, not only what you can see nowadays. It will be very exciting for the general public. We hope to have resident artists working and conducting programming there, and we are going to try to increase even more our outdoor activities with partners and without partners, just to offer more to the people of El Paso. I think it's worth it, our time. That's what we are there for, not only to educate and preserve all those artifacts that we are that we have under our roof, but also to open up the place to the public, open up the place to the society of El Paso, and allow them to come and see, allow them to come and participate, to learn new things. So what we might offer might be something that you have never done. So we want to try to give you that opportunity.
Absolutely here. So again, guest right now has of course been Sebastian Ribas-Norman, of the museum director for the El Paso Museum of Archaeology. Thank you very much for coming in here to talk about some of the things going on, the programming happening right now, and what's coming up in the future, and the stuff you are doing in general for the museum here today.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Absolutely happy to have you on and talk about this. And thank you all very much having joined us here for the El Paso History Radio Show. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in as we do each and every Saturday morning, 10 to noon. Until next time, have a great one. Make sure to check out these events. We'll see you all next weekend.